TV, and we're going to dive into it because I see Ben behind me from Evergen.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. We're doing all right. How are you doing today?
Excellent. Thank you.
So, what we're doing in our EXTV program is we're bringing companies onto the program and just finding out what they're doing, what solutions they're providing, and then we can kind of move on through the different programs that we host almost on a nightly basis now to get them ready to raise funding or find partners or government research or whatever they're looking for. This is for us and for you to understand what these companies are all about. Ben, so tell us something about Evergen. First of all, where are you?
So I'm based in Australia. Most of our people are down here, although we've got some teams elsewhere in the world, so in the Philippines, in Ukraine, and in Indonesia. So we're kind of naturally distributed. Obviously, this has been the year from working from wherever you can with staying safe. So we're very proud to have a good team everywhere. Our fundamental problem is we think the energy system is broken. Obviously, energy and burning fossil fuels, massive contributor to climate change, which in our world is completely undeniable. And so we're busily working to reshape the entire energy system globally. We're starting in Australia because here we have the highest penetration of rooftop solar anywhere in the world. And we work really on two things. One of them is we help utilities string together large fleets of batteries of all different shapes and sizes to form part of the energy system. And on the other side of our marketplace, we make life better for consumers and improve the economics of investing in new energy systems like solar and battery.
Fantastic. And we've talked about this many times on this program. I mean, I think kind of the race of energy transition has been won by solar and storage. I mean, I think we're pretty much done. Everything else is going to, be there for peak shaving and, base load generation. But solar, especially in a place like Australia, really has won. How long have you guys been doing this? And what has been your track record so far?
Yes, Evergen's been around for about 5 years, founded in partnership with Australia's kind of government science research agency, the CSIRO, back in 2015. So we've got a long history of making batteries perform better as part of the system. And I'd say, I kind of agree with what you said. Obviously, rooftop solar is globally the cheapest form of energy these days. I think it's really early days for storage. So in Australia, where I'd say we're kind of at the front of this evolution, there's still less than 100,000 batteries in people's homes. And obviously there's 2.5 million homes with solar. So really early in the evolution. It's interesting. I was talking to a major investor in London earlier in the day, and he said something that really resonated with me, which is like the 10-year future of our industry and what we're doing in particular is inevitable. But what's kind of interesting in different parts of the world is that different countries are adopting things at different paces, and different governments take different views of whether things should be supported or decreed or ignored. In some cases, it's kind of ignoring the day that is today. It's kind of
but how can you, at this point, how can you really ignore solar and storage, right? I mean, we're based in Indonesia. We're out here in Bali. We don't have a lot of solar and storage yet in place, even though the sun shines pretty much all the time. I'm from northern Germany, but something about my background. In my hometown, the sun never shines, but still we got solar on every rooftop, right? Now we live in Indonesia, we're burned 24/7, it feels like it. I mean, we got very long sunny days, but we don't have solar and storage in place yet. Why is that? And how can you guys help to make a difference?
Yeah, it's a really interesting example. So Germany, one of my favorite examples of a country that's really got behind a kind of classically European decision. When Angela Merkel took over, she basically decreed that over the subsequent decade, we will transform away from coal to renewable energy, and just kind of made it happen. And the whole country got behind it. It's done an amazing job. There were economic stimuluses. All the big utilities got behind it. So amazing progress. In Australia, we don't have the same kind of strong political leadership, which means things are kind of happening a little bit all over the place down here. And I think in Indonesia, I don't know very much about the politics in Indonesia, but as a kind of developing nation, I would suggest that the money should be available to invest in this transition and effectively create free energy for everybody. But doing so is a massive investment program, and it's certainly something we can help with. But ultimately, we need people to fund these long-term assets. We can bring probably pension funds from all around the country to the table, wanting to fund these assets all around the world at the moment. So it'll happen. But it's a global problem, and we need kind of global coordination really to stop the planet warming up anymore.
Yeah, and just a little bit teaser for next week. We're going to have an old friend on. His name is Luke Timmons. He used to be in Singapore for one of the largest EPC investors in the world. He just wrote a book about the framework of solar permitting in Indonesia. And I'm a very simple guy, so once you need a book to go through a permitting process, it makes me a little bit nervous. But his wife is a lawyer, and he's sending me a copy in the mail. I'm really excited to read it because it's such an obvious market. So Evergen, I know you guys come from the financing side. What is kind of like the scope of your work? What is the ticket sizes you work with, and where do you really see your core market right now?
Yeah, so Evergen's really a software business. So we provide software that's kind of like the invisible layer that joins together generation, load, and storage assets all across the energy systems. So our customers are primarily utilities, like network operators, and energy retailers. But we've got thousands and thousands of consumers who own solar and battery kind of on the other side of what we do, and our job is really to create as much value for everyone as possible, and really help accelerate the transition away from coal. Interestingly, our company mission is to destroy coal-fired power stations in 10 countries around the world over the next 3 years. So we're very purposeful in what we're doing. Like, it's super simple: just kill coal, stop burning fuel for energy. And that's kind of our way of contributing to the transition.
I think you don't need to blow up the coal-fired power plants. They're just already not economical anymore. Nobody wants to invest into them. And to all the Asian governments out there still even considering building coal-powered power plants, you're building assets that 10 years from now are going to be absolutely useless and going to cost a lot of money to get rid of. So, stop the nonsense already. I mean, it's dead. I mean, that's just to sum it up. Coal is dead.
I completely agree. Personally, since I was a little boy, I've always wanted to press the plunger and kind of watch one of those things crumble. So I think it's a nice, really visceral image as we just want to blow one up. So we're probably going to get a big Lego model of one when we blow up our first one.
Well, we're going to have some spare ones in Germany soon. I mean, so maybe I get you an invite to just press the button when they finally take these things down.
International travel willing, I'll be there in a heartbeat.
I know they don't let you out much anymore. For us, all of our Australian neighbors have disappeared. We live in Bali, right? This is kind of like a suburb. It's like an external state of Australia here usually, but they have all disappeared. For your company and your growth where you're going right now, are you still looking for investors to grow your company or for projects? How do you deal with the capital market right now?
Yeah, so we're lucky. We've been very well funded throughout our journey. We recently just closed quite a big round, led by a strategic investor who's a big investor in solar farms and also in hydrogen batteries. So we're sort of firmly focused on expanding our scope and our reach across Australia. But we're looking for partners in countries elsewhere in the world who really want to help this transition happen. So we're talking to utilities in different parts of Europe, in Canada, in different parts of Asia. So anyone that's out there that kind of wants to take all the things that we've learned down in Australia and really help the renewable transition speed up overseas, we can help with that. You can get a hold of me through LinkedIn. Pretty simple. And we're happy to have a chat and explore opportunities.
Excellent. And if you just sum it up in 3 sentences, what is your USP for your company right now? If there's a European company, for example, out there who's never heard of you guys, what is it in a nutshell that you do as easily understandable as possible?
We have software that makes renewable energy assets perform better than everyone else. We've got the best nerds, we've got the greatest team, and we built companies before, so we know what we're doing.
Excellent. I love a quick summary. I don't know if you got a chance to see the program last night. And not every startup CEO has the ability to sum up the core of their business as precisely as you just have been doing. Sometimes there are interesting experience out there. But one question to you, what can we do? I mean, we have an incredible partner network, obviously, into corporate VCs, into utilities, especially in Europe and the United States. I say we're still pretty new to Australia and Asia, which seems to be more challenging to crack if you look as European as I do. What can we do in those markets? Get you some good introductions? How can we help?
Yeah, intros are always good. I mean, the thing about the energy transition is that it's totally inevitable that humanity is going to get its act together, and over the next 20 years, we're going to completely transform the planet. But every big journey starts with a small step, and usually that means a person Like, I believe people make the world go round. So we need motivated people, whether you be investors or you work in utilities or you work in government, in different countries around the world, that want to learn how to make this transition go faster. Like, it's imperative. I've got 3 daughters. I really care that the planet's still inhabitable when they are my age. So let's get going. Let's put some money behind the problem. Let's put some people at the problem, and let's really start changing how people think about global warming and climate change globally. We do that by having conversations like this. So thank you very much for having me tonight.
Well, thank you so much, Ben. It's really a pleasure from our side. Thanks for taking the time. And if there's anybody out there in the world, and we've got a very broad network that you would like to be connected with, just drop us a quick message. And we're more than happy to do so, especially on the utility side or the EPC side. I think we have a very broad network that might be able to just simply help you out and get your product to market faster, grow internationally. And as you said, we have no time to waste. Renewable energy is not the future, it's the now. It's just going to grow from here. And if we can kind of stop the mistakes and make it more efficient and more effective and making better money along the way, I think your software can help with that. Thank you, Ben, so much. I really appreciate the input from that.
Before we go off, Julien.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Ben, you got 1 second. Because Oliver here, who's on camera B, who's putting the whole thing together, has a question for you.
It's actually
He's the
not
financial
me.
Analyst on the program here.
It's actually our live audience that have asked the question.
Oh, it's a live audience question. Cool.
Exactly. It's quite financially driven, though. It's what's the business model and how do you generate revenue?
The question is to you, Ben. What's your business model and how do you generate revenue?
Yeah, it's a great question. Utilities, so electricity retailers and network operators, pay us for effectively software and algorithms and optimization and fleet trading capability, effectively for generating value from these assets in the system. So we basically trade fleets of assets in the energy markets, and effectively use the value of the energy in the stored batteries around the network to create value, not just for the owners of those assets, but also for the operators of the system.
Okay, cool. So it's a software as a service model or a consulting model? Just
software as a service, utility pays, consumers benefit, business owners benefit. Ultimately, we think people with the most at stake in the system should pay for it. So we tend to focus on letting the utilities pay us and make everyone else benefit through cheap or free energy.
Excellent, Ben. We really appreciate your time. Enjoy your evening in Australia and hope we'll see you soon. And I would love to see your software here in Indonesia when our market is going to take off. I got inside information. Solar in Indonesia is going to be huge very soon. Can't wait to see it.
Completely agree.
Right, Ben? Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Great. Thanks for having me. Good night.